Today, we're dissecting something that goes way, way beyond just a game. We're talking about world football's most intense matches. We're going to explore the pure sporting thrill on the pitch and the incredibly chaotic societal divides that happen right off of it. Whether you're a lifelong fanatic or you're just fascinated by human psychology and culture, the anatomy of these great rivalries is absolutely gripping. We're going to look at the data, the history, and the unfiltered madness that makes these games mean literally everything. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap. We'll be covering pure sporting spectacle, shifting dynasties, cities divided by class, politics on the pitch, and finally, unfiltered global chaos. Let's get right into it. Starting with Section 1, Pure Sporting Spectacle, the 2025/26 match of the season. When we talk about rivalry based on sheer, high-quality, modern tactical drama, Arsenal versus Manchester United is the absolute peak right now. Fans literally describe this recent matchup as set pieces against bangers. Now, Arsenal actually went on to win the Premier League title this year, but this specific game, it was their very first home defeat of the campaign, and it was a total roller coaster. Just picture this breathless 5-goal thriller. It kicks off in the 29th minute with Arsenal taking the lead via an unfortunate Lisandro Martinez own goal. But United hits right back at 37 minutes with an equalizer from Brian Bumo. Then, early in the second half, Patrick Dorgu strikes at the 50-minute mark, putting United ahead. It stays that way all the way into the 84th minute when Mikel Merino finds a late equalizer for Arsenal, setting up this massive grandstand finish. And then, the 87th minute. Matheus Cunha scores a show-stopping, stunning winner, sealing a 3-2 victory and literally dancing in front of a completely stunned Emirates crowd. It was pure, unfiltered sporting theater. But you know, rivalries aren't just built on a single 90-minute thriller. Let's move to Section 2, Shifting Dynasties and Power, the Liverpool versus Manchester United pendulum. This is the most watched Premier League game every single season, and it's because rivalries like this are born from massive, generational power struggles. The crucial point here is how the balance of power swings like a pendulum. Back in the 70s and 80s, Liverpool was basically untouchable. They were collecting league titles and European Cups like Infinity Stones, and Manchester United was always just a step behind. But then, Sir Alex Ferguson arrived, and he entirely flipped the script. The 90s and 2000s completely belonged to a Manchester United dynasty. They won 13 Premier Leagues, eventually overtaking Liverpool's overall total. But wait, then the 2020s saw Jurgen Klopp bring the power right back to Liverpool. When one side is that utterly dominant, it turns the other side's lack of success into a total obsession. And that obsession, it boils over into moments like this. 7. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the number of goals Liverpool scored against Manchester United in March 2023. A 7-0 absolute demolition. For Liverpool fans, this smash and grab, along with the previous 5-0 win at Old Trafford, weren't just victories. As the source material notes, they were brutal exorcisms. It was years of payback for decades spent living under Sir Alex Ferguson's shadow. It proved that in football, absolutely nothing stays the same forever. Now, we're going to shift our tone away from sporting revenge to something much deeper. Section 3. Cities divided by class, when demographics define the derby. This is where matches stop being just about trophies and start being about identity, community, and honestly, survival. Take Le Classique in France. On one side, you have Paris Saint-Germain, the nation's capital, fueled by oil money and lined with global megastars. Against them is Olympique Marseille, a gritty, working-class southern port with a fan base that genuinely views itself as the true heartbeat of real French football. This is the ultimate establishment versus the anti-establishment. The ultras on both sides are constantly trying to outdo each other in the stands, and that toxic tension inevitably spills right onto the pitch. Just how toxic are we talking? 36. That is the total number of fouls in their 2020 meeting. It was absolute pure carnage. 10 yellow cards and 5 red cards were handed out in a single match. The chaos completely kicked off in the 90th minute, resulting in an all-out brawl where players were just dropping everywhere. The VAR even caught Neymar punching a Marseille player in the back of the head over alleged racist comments. Outside the stadium, riot police had to lock down entire streets. It was essentially a war zone. If you want to see another clash of pure identity, look at Buenos Aires. In Argentina, you don't choose your team. You are born into it. You have River Plate, the red and white millionaires from the upscale northern Núñez district, and you have Boca Juniors, the blue and yellow working-class heroes of the southern La Boca neighborhood. It's a massive rich versus poor, north versus south divide. And the result?
Regular stoppage time brawls, like in 2023 when a staggering 7 red cards were handed out in a single match. And that passion can reach terrifying heights. In 2018, these two met in the Copa Libertadores final. This is the biggest game in South American club history. But before the second leg could even happen, fans ambushed the team bus. Windows were shattered, tear gas filled the air, players were sent to the hospital. The violence was so severe that the match had to be postponed and relocated entirely across the Atlantic Ocean to Madrid, Spain. The most South American game in history was played in Europe, literally just to keep the people alive. Let that sink in. Let's slow the pace down just a bit for Section 4. Politics on the pitch. Ideology, nationalism, and civil war. These next games carry incredibly heavy weight before a ball is even kicked. This isn't just about football, it's El Clasico, Catalonia versus Spain. Barcelona represents a proud region that has historically sought independence. Real Madrid represents the capital, the monarchy, and central power. It's a story of regional rebellion versus the central establishment. And this reached an incredibly toxic peak during the 2011 Champions League semifinal. You had Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka perfection against Jose Mourinho's gritty Galacticos. The first leg felt way more like a street fight than a football match, peaking with an infamous red card for Madrid's Pepe and Mourinho actually being sent to the stands in fury. Now, what's really interesting about the Old Firm Derby in Glasgow is how it's split right down the middle by religious and national identity. Celtic is deeply proud of its Irish roots and Catholic heritage. Rangers, on the other hand, are defined by British loyalism and Protestantism. During the 2010s, Rangers collapsed financially, leaving Celtic to win title after title. But as the sources show, that didn't diminish the rivalry one bit. Figures like Celtic's Scott Brown made it his absolute mission to wind up Rangers fans, proving that in this derby, crushing your rival and securing bragging rights often means even more than actually lifting silverware. And then we have the Derby della Capitale in Rome. This is a rivalry with deeply, deeply divided ideologies. Roma was founded in 1927 as a club of the people, merging local teams to fight northern dominance. Lazio proudly refused that merger. The sources report that the identity clash here is incredibly stark, with Lazio's fanbase notorious for a far-right ultra culture. Over the years, in the stands, this derby has seen racial abuse, fascist banners, and severe violence. The sources neutrally but firmly describe this not just as a sporting event, but as something that feels like a disguised civil war. All right, let's ramp the energy back up for our final section. Section 5. Unfiltered global chaos, paranoia, survival, and pure hatred. Let's see how this chaos translates to the international stage. Argentina versus Brazil. This is a fierce battle for continental supremacy between two drastically different identities. You have Argentina, proud of its European heritage and tango, going up against Brazil, the giant to the north, defined by samba and endless coastlines. The bad blood here is legendary. I mean, in the 1990 World Cup, rumors swirled that Argentina literally gave Brazilian players poisoned water bottles. And that's a rumor that still fuels the rivalry today. Or look at the 2022 World Cup qualifier, where Brazilian health officials literally stormed the pitch mid-match, accusing Argentine players of breaking quarantine rules, causing the entire game to be abandoned. Just pure chaos. If we head over to Serbia for the Eternal Derby, the chaos turns into outright fear. The walkout tunnel at Red Star's Maracana Stadium is literally the stuff of nightmares. It's a narrow, dimly lit concrete passage lined with barbed wire, graffiti, and armed guards, all while the stands are literally shaking above you. This rivalry is baked in paranoia. Red Star was born representing the Yugoslav military establishment, while Partizan represented the army's secret police. The sources detail how riots, stabbings, and even setting the stadium on fire are woven right into the history of this derby. For the players walking out, it is quite literally about survival. Next up is a rivalry that bridges two continents. Fenerbahce is based on the Asian side of Istanbul and Galatasaray on the European side. The hatred here is deafening, but one moment sums it up perfectly. In the 1996 Turkish Cup final, Galatasaray beat Fenerbahce. Right after the whistle, Galatasaray's Scottish coach Graham Souness took a giant Galatasaray flag and physically planted it right in the center circle of Fenerbahce's pitch. It was an iconic, incredibly provocative gesture that nearly started a full-blown stadium riot. It instantly made him a cult hero to one half of the city and the ultimate villain to the other. It's an environment so chaotic that even Jose Mourinho,
arguably football's king of chaos, was left utterly bewildered during his time managing Fenerbahce. He recently asked, who wants to watch this Turkish league abroad? Why should they see this? He was pointing out the constant touchline meltdowns, the accusations of cheating, and just the sheer madness of it all. When the drama is too much for Mourinho, you know for sure you found the peak of unfiltered football chaos.
Which brings us to our final thought today. We've seen class warfare, political clashes, religious divides, and continental power struggles all play out on a simple rectangle of grass. So you really have to ask yourself, is the beautiful game simply a mirror reflecting our deepest societal flaws and divides right back at us? Or does the tribalism of the sport actively cause them? It's a provocative question, but honestly, it's exactly why these rivalries keep us completely hooked and hungry for the next match. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.